My parents immigrated from Bangladesh about 30 years ago. My father owned huge land and a village in Bangladesh, which even some of my cousins had lived. As more immigrated to Britain, the village was about to become empty, and my father had rented out his land, for which he had a few houses, for other people to live in, but when they started moving out, another door opened for my father for his land. A company in which I will not name for various legal reasons in Britain wanted to lease the land for my father for a lot of money. There were many meetings with the company and they were giving us a good deal. This company wanted to make a huge factory in my father's Bangladesh, employing people from Bangladesh as work is cheaper to make things over there in countries like Bangladesh. My father and my whole family couldn't believe that we had made such luck with a good company for a lot of money. Land is a good thing to own as you can sell it, rent it, or lease it. Especially in these times, a lots of land is needed with a growing population. The company wanted to send someone from their corporation to my father's land in Bangladesh, which was definitely empty now as all the people who immigrated or found somewhere else to live, mainly the city. Before we signed the contract, the man was going to visit my father's land first. Had to give a go ahead we were very confident everything would be fine. A month later we got a call from the company which was in confusion as they told us that even though we had said it was empty, they were full of the strangest people living there now. Now my father went to Bangladesh on a regular basis to check up on his land because him being the landlord of the land, he had to make sure everything was okay and it was empty the last time he checked, and so when he heard that it was full of people, he didn't know what to make of it. The company still wanted to do business with us, but we had to get rid of the people staying on the land. My father had no idea what they were going on about, and him being too old to travel, I had to take on the responsibility. I have been to Bangladesh many times and I knew my way around pretty well. Our theory was it was just a bunch of homeless hobos just staying on our land, and I had to enforce upon them to leave. I called bodyguards and other authorities in Bangladesh to help me out with this task. I was certain things were going to get heated. When I visited with my backup, the company wasn't lying. It was full of people half naked and their skin color was of a silky white chalk. They never blinked, but just stared, and none of us had any idea as to where they came from. We tried talking to some of them, but the peculiar thing is, whenever any of them tried to talk, it was like they were going to puke. They were trying to force the words to come out, but instead came out random things from their mouth. One being dead bird, which was a disgusting sight to see. I phoned my father, and he was clearly annoyed, and he just told me to use whatever force necessary to kick them out. One of the police force official had the idea of just killing them. He was explaining to my father over the phone that these people had no birth certificate or any proof of birth, so they technically don't exist, and if they were to kill them, nobody would know or wonder. My father agreed, and I got myself into a hotel as I wasn't comfortable with what was going to happen. I tried to argue with them to not go through with this. I finally get a call telling me that the deed had been done, and I should come down and check. I witnessed babies, children, women, and men of this particular indigenous human race slaughtered, and one word came to mind, and that was genocide. I started to cry, and then from their mouths a black rock came out, and it was like they were trying to speak, but once again they couldn't. The black rock had a strong scent, aroma, which you could see floating in the air, but it brought them to life. They all smiled, and as I wondered before as to what they would eat, killing them or trying to kill them is basically in their language telling them that we are to pray. They didn't do anything to me as I didn't try to kill them, but they attacked the others who did and took a huge bite out of their body, and they were missing livers and kidneys, etc. Surprisingly, they weren't dead, but as they tried to speak, the words couldn't come, but instead, dead small animals of objects, and their wounds kind of attaching itself to their skin, turning white, sickly chalkish. I told my father about this, and he told me to get away from there as soon as possible. My father sold off the land to some Bangladeshi government official, and it was now their responsibility to deal with the problem, and we obviously lost the original deed